Tonight's opening match, a three-way match, one fall with a 15-minute time limit.
That's Cameron Gates. He calls himself highly recommended, Jordan, and he is not new to the Academy Showcase.
5 feet, 8 inches, 176 pounds. Highly recommended, Cameron Gates.
No, he is not Mark Warzeka. In fact, you were on the call alongside one Azúcar Rocky Romero at the inaugural Academy Showcase when Cameron Gates teamed with one Matt Vandegrift in a losing, albeit impressive effort against Kevin Knight and the DKC. How about the run that Vandegrift has had in the Strong Survivor Series? You gotta think that Cameron Gates taking a look at his old tag team partner and saying, I want a piece of that pie.
Yeah, you gotta wonder what Cameron Gates thinks when he sees Vandegrift's success since that time.
But cannot look ahead too far into the future. Has his hands full tonight with not one, but 2 opponents.
Our opening contest is a 3-way match, sort of unusual in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Exciting to see for an opener here on the 3rd ever Academy Showcase here in the LA Dojo.
6 feet, 165 pounds. Midnight Marauder, Casey Ferreira.
Coming to us all the way from Vancouver, British Columbia. Uprooting his life from Canada to the Americas. And here, Casey Ferreira, well, you gotta think, everyone here has something to prove, right, Mark? Everyone here has a chip on their shoulder, but when you travel that far, when you leave your entire life behind, it is tenfold.
They're chasing a dream here tonight.
Another athlete who traveled very, very far from the Carolinas, North Carolina to be specific.
Five feet, 8 inches, 165 pounds. Pure heart, Grant Watts.
He's a technical wizard, Grant Watts. We've got a clash of styles here in this opening contest.
Your
Three-way
referee
match.
for this contest, Victor Cuentes.
Yeah, and you know, Mark, no one really sticks out to me as the clear favorite. Certainly a clash of styles. Some are stronger in other aspects. But ultimately, I really think it's anyone's matchup to win, especially in this, our opening contest, truly setting the pace for the rest of the Academy Showcase.
Bell rings, and the 3rd ever NJPW Academy Showcase is underway here at the LA Dojo. We are, of course, coming to you from Southern California. Very excited to open up the doors to the dojo. This does not happen often, and we've invited in a live, sold-out crowd to watch this 3rd ever showcase.
Total no vacancy here tonight. Gates trying to take advantage, butterflies the arms. But it is Casey Ferreira taking advantage with a big head scissors takedown.
Casey Ferreira will look for any opportunity to fly. So Cameron Gates better watch his back on the outside.
He's going to have to use that agility, going to have to use that athleticism, going to have to use that high flying. It is his ace in the hole, but Gates knows it. It's exactly why he's cutting him off at the heels. A big elbow drop to the back of Ferreira.
He's got his opponents well scouted here. And already the action fast and furious as we kick this thing off.
And similarly, the same way Ferreira was using the high flying agility, Grant Watts using that technical wizardry. Into the cover here, lateral press, but a kick out from Gates, and there you see Ferreira unable to break up the pinfall. Luckily for him, Gates able to kick out. Again, we are very, very early on in the contest, but if Watts had pinned Cameron Gates there, Ferreira would have lost the matchup without even being involved in the decision.
Yes, it's an important part to mention here. The rules in 3-way matches, they're very high risk. There's sudden death, anything could happen.
Cameron Gates there winding up at a big shot. Casey Ferreira, the impact of his body, indeed doing some damage to Watts, but it's Watts up and over, landing on his feet. Gates ducks the line and a big backbreaker onto the smaller opposition.
They are so equally matched, as you mentioned, Jordan, but we got to remember Cameron Gates, as we mentioned earlier, he's been in a
Another
showcase.
cover here, trying to steal it, but broken up by Watts.
He's been in Academy Showcase before. He's been under the pressure of these lights before, and the high stakes of this type of event before. That may give him an advantage here.
Nice backslide there from Watts. Maybe a little too much leverage there. Gates able to get the shoulder up as Watts maintains control of the arm here. Cradle. But again, only a 2. You're right. Gates, one of only 2 returning graduates on tonight's program. It speaks. Cover here.
Here we go.
Broken up again by Ferreira. It speaks to the pedigree of Cameron Gates, right? That he was welcomed back, that he was invited back, even though he's not a graduate of this particular Academy Showcase. Did you hear that shot, Mark Warzeka?
Listen to that, and Ferreira returning it. Yes, both Watts and Ferreira have graduated. This is their graduation ceremony. We're watching it right now. This is the end of this training camp for them. But as you mentioned, Cameron Gates was not in the camp this time around. He was about a year ago. He got to come back to wrestle here today.
Right now, he is a total non-factor. Ferreira with the chirping chops neutralizes Watts, if only for the moment. Watts
going for crab here.
Yeah, maybe the signature of the young lion here is Watts. We know he is a student of the game, specifically here in New Japan. This is the culmination of a lifelong dream for the Pure Heart.
The iconic Boston crab, well known in the New Japan Dojo system overseas, being put to use here on the Academy Showcase in LA.
Cameron Gates not going to give him the satisfaction, breaking up the Boston Crab, and Watts is pissed here, Warzeka.
Tempers starting to flare up in our opening moments, our opening minutes of our opening contest of this 7-match card. We've got 7 big matches tonight with a lot of interesting dynamics throughout the night as these two fire back and forth at each other.
Listen, Mark, these 3 don't necessarily have a personal vendetta, a personal issue with one another, but this is a very, very important stage. I think you can't argue. Nice tornado DDT there, using Watts as a stepping stone into Gates. Now it's the cover goes Ferreira. Kick out there from Gates, but it is easily the biggest stage of all 3 of these men's young, fruitful careers, and so a victory would go a very long way in propelling them perhaps to a future here in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Again, we've seen Cameron Gates return here. He lost the first time, cannot afford to have it happen the second go-around.
This could be the case all night. The stakes are so high for every single one of these professional wrestlers who came here for 2.5 months to train, to live a dream. And what is tonight going to mean to them? Is it the beginning of a long journey in this business? Is it the beginning of a path that leads one day to Wrestle Kingdom? Or is it a one and done for any of these competitors?
Well, right now, Watts turning Ferreira's dream into a nightmare, but instead meets the waiting boot of Cameron Gates. Deadlift German, broken up by Gates. Again, it is a cliche, but it is a cliche for a reason, Mark Warzeka. You gotta have eyes in the back of your head. And there, Cameron Gates thinking gateway drug. Broken up there by Grant Watts. Mark, that is a game-ending maneuver for Cameron Gates. I don't think there's a world in which Casey Ferreira kicks out of that move of his own accord. Crucifix there from Watts. Broken up at the last second by Ferreira.
I can't believe we just heard the 5-minute call. I can't believe how much action has been packed in to the first 5 minutes of this opening contest. And by the way, fans, this is a one-fall 15-minute match. There's 10 minutes left to go. 15-minute time limit in this one.
But as I was saying, the gateway drug, a real finishing maneuver for all intents and purposes for Cameron Gates.
Well, there have been a couple times here where I think, Jordan, we would have absolutely seen a pinfall if it wasn't broken up by the 3rd man in the match.
And if you're in a 3-way contest like this, right, how do you strategize for that? How do you prepare for focusing all of your offense on one opponent, having a cover secured, only to have it broken up by the 3rd man, throwing a wrench in your plans?
It's such a challenge. It's a completely different psychology and approach to the match than you would have in a singles match.
From the top, Ferreira looking to fly the Midnight Marauder into a sunset flip, but this time it's Watts breaking it up, a sunset flip of his own, broken up by Gates into a crucifix.
Incredible!
There it is! It's done!
How about it? We got a winner!
Time, 6 minutes and 15 seconds. Here is your winner, Cameron Gates.
Well, second time was indeed the charm for Cameron Gates, returning to the NJPW Academy Showcase, this time with a very, very different result.
The pace of that contest was absolutely incredible, that these three athletes could maintain that level of intense offense for just an absolute burst. Looked like we were watching a match in fast forward there for 6 minutes and 15 seconds. Incredible start to the evening.
And take nothing away from Academy graduates Watts and Ferreira. More than prove their toughness, more than prove their fighting spirit here tonight in our opening contest. But Mark, you can clearly see why Cameron Gates comes highly